everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Backyard Horse Enthusiast. Today's special guest is Lea Dibrell from Crooked Tree Journeys. Welcome, Leah. Hey, Leah. Welcome.
Hello.
So happy to have you here joining us on another episode of the Backyard Horse Enthusiast. We love sharing with other equine enthusiasts and clinicians and fellow Gestalt practitioners. So with that being said, welcome. You hail from Wimberley, Texas. Where is Wimberley? Like I don't know. Is it close to Austin? Where are you? What's Wimberley?
I'm 35 miles southwest of Austin. So if you were to fly in, you would fly into the Austin airport and then drive out here. We're about an hour from the Austin airport.
Excellent. That's close, really, when it comes to,
This
airports.
is called the hill country out here.
Oh, awesome. All right. So for all the folks watching and listening that don't know, Leah and I both are, we were students in the Touched by a Horse Equine Gestalt uh, coaching method. We are now, well, I have been certified and am a graduate for 1 year. And Leah, you're done, right? You've received your certification.
I did.
Now what happens?
Now we do the entrepreneurial business marketing and seeing clients.
Awesome. And you'll walk the stage for graduation in September at Summit?
I will. The way it works is we have one graduation a year. So no matter when you graduate at the same, you walk the stage. I've already graduated,
Yep.
but you walk the
Yep.
stage at our gathering called the Summit.
So you got your certification, what, you finished in last December?
Yes.
Nice. Nice. How was the doing the final exam for you?
Well, there's always a lot of talk about how long it takes people, and it's sometimes hours and sometimes days, depending on who you are and how you answer questions and things like that. It did take me 5.5 hours,
That's
but
not bad.
no, it was good. That was good.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. I'm impressed. Oh boy, what do you have? One of those photographic memories and all that stuff? Are you good with?
No, I certainly don't have a photographic memory. I just find all the information that we learned, most of the information that we learned, to be stuff that I really resonated with. So it was second nature, basically. And so from that aspect, it was, and I also didn't put myself through um, I know when I was in school, in high school and college, I would, get test anxiety, and I just decided I wasn't going to be anxious about it.
Wow. Do you think your work in the program helped you achieve that, get beyond that, you know, deer in the headlights kind of thing where the brain just shuts down?
Absolutely. I believe it was a lot of learning about who I was through the program, or relearning rather, probably is a better way to put that. And that uh, searching for the way to explain that. Um, and a Gestalt is about living in the present moment. And it was just over the 2 year program, that's what I learned to do. And that's how I applied that in that moment, was to just be there, not worry about it, and know that I had heard the information and that I could access the information. And that's what I did.
That's beautiful. Wow. I wish I could say that it worked that way. For most of the testing, it did. And then I got to a wall, and I think it was exhaustion, like I was just mind overload. And then I started to overthink, and then I went into limbic, and the thinking brain shut down completely. But I got back to it. I knew then it was time to take a break and then go back to it. So yeah, wow, good. I love to hear that, you know, the things that the tools that we gained in this program are so helpful and useful in our lives in the present and going forward. Like really comes in handy and is just a better, more present way to live. What can you tell me about your background and share with us how did you get on this path to going to school for this and becoming a certified equine gestalt practitioner? I'm always curious about everyone. Like, what was your journey?
And I do believe it was a journey. That's why I named my business Crooked Tree Journeys. It is a journey. It is a culmination of all the way back to when I was a kid, um, when I went to college, when I went to sports massage school. All of this came together. My love of horses, um, my passion for helping people, all of it came together when I had a little burnout. I was one of the people that quit my job during COVID. That wasn't where I wanted to spend my life. And so I looked up, I Googled retreats and horses and found my way to this program. So
Did you actually go to a retreat and
I
experience
did.
it? Where did
I
you
did.
go? Tell us about that.
Well, I had a little bit, so I had done a Gestalt workshop when I was in my 20s. And so I had known about Gestalt for most of my adult life. And so when I saw the marriage of the two, and then I also, when I was younger, also used to volunteer for equine therapy programs. I was actually part of uh, the um, the team that was doing equine therapy with adjudicated youth in Arizona, and so I was always on the edge of this, and so when I found this program, it's like it married all of that. It married my time as a sports massage therapist, so understanding energy, understanding somatics. It married my desire to help people. It married my love of horses, which I've had since I was a kid. And it was Gestalt, which I had a familiarization with. And so I was like, what is this? And so yeah, here I
So the
am.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. And I said, so here I am with all that combined. It was like it was a really aha moment for sure.
And what retreat did you go to?
I went to an unbridled retreat in Silvendale, at the Silvendale Ranch in Colorado.
Nice. Like a multi-day kind of thing? Was it a
Oh
day
yeah,
retreat or
it's 4 4 days. Um, uh, we stayed in cabins and rode horses and then did Gestalt.
was Melissa at that
No,
one? No.
no, it
It
was
was
Devin.
okay. Yep. Nice. And you just were like that, you were smitten, that was it. You were like, I want to do this. I want to become one of
Absolutely.
these.
It was already something I was looking for, some way to, I've done other retreats in my life. I wanted to do that kind of, I have a really beautiful property covered in trees, and I have a guest house. And so it was something I was already thinking about. This was just I guess, the avenue to be able to bring something to the table to help others.
Okay, so you've got your own facility, retreat facility. How many horses do you have?
I have 2 horses and 3 miniature donkeys.
Oh, fun. Oh my gosh. And do all of them participate in the healing work or?
Yes, as you know, being in the work yourself, it, one of the beauties of this program, one of the things I was most attracted to was that this is a true partnership. And in a partnership, you don't demand them to do what you want them to do. You ask them to do if they're interested in working in that particular session or that particular day. And yeah, every one of them has stepped up, and I was really kind of weren't wondering about my gelding, because he can be a little standoffish, but he is the greatest therapist. He's just phenomenal coach. Yeah.
uh, what makes him, what's an example of when he steps up to do the work, what stands out for you? Was there a standout moment when you were like, oh my gosh, he just embodies this?
Well, say about my donkeys. My donkeys love people, so they'll be all over somebody when they come on the property. They want to be next to them. They want to be, look, checking out their feet and their legs and their pockets, and
Oh.
and he is always uh kind of standing just a little bit of ways observing. And so I call that he really holds space beautifully. Uh, I didn't know if he would come into the space and work. And once I started doing it, I just I was just amazed. It was a complete light switch for him. He's like I've been waiting for you to ask me to do something like this. And so, and
Oh.
it's really interesting to see when he turns towards a client and is fully engaged. It's a really beautiful thing.
Hmm. I'll
Hmm.
bet. I mean, I shouldn't say I'll bet. I've experienced it as
Yeah.
well, and it's remarkable. So remarkable. Beautiful. Did you have horses as a child? When did you find your love for horses? Have you always been bitten by the horse bug?
Always, I've always been bitten by the horse bug. I always had books on horses. I was always planning for my horses. When I was a young girl, I should have brought the drawing. I have a drawing that I drew of a 6 stall barn, and I was going to have 6 horses and 6 chickens and 6 dogs. So yeah, I've always had the bug. I rode a bit. Of course, I would ride to different places. We would go on trail rides and things like that, even when I was younger. Um, and um, I tried to buy a horse when I was like 10 or 11 years old. Back there in the old classified ads, I was calling around to see if I could get a pony to put in my backyard. Got into a lot of trouble for that. And then then I started. That's right. Well, it was long distance calls back then. The uh and yeah, we didn't have horse property. The
Eh, minor detail. You'll figure it out.
exactly, exactly,
Mom, it followed me home. Can we keep it?
exactly.
You gotta
The
try.
the and then when I was a little bit older, I took lessons so that I could learn how to ride properly, not just enjoy the moment. It was more about technique and things like that. So I did hunter jumper and dressage as a teen, and did a few schooling shows and things like that. So I have ribbons from that. And I say it in that way because I know there's a lot of people in our program that are like full on competitors, and so it wasn't anything like that. It was really about learning proper techniques on how to ride, and it was, of course, English and jumping, and so there's a lot of technique to it. And it wasn't until I was a little bit older, and that I got my first horse, and she was a gorgeous Morgan, and her name was Tally, and she was a really lovely horse. I mean, just yeah. I wish she was with me still today so that she could do, she was doing this. When I look back, she was doing this all the time with kids, with adults, with me. Yeah.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's beautiful. Did you ever have to board your horse or horses at boarding facilities, or have you always had them in your backyard?
Tally, I had at a boarding facility for a little while. It was kind of a tragic story, to be honest with you. She was there. I had had her for 3 days, and the boarding facility would turn their horses out in groups together, and she was turned out with the group, and one of the horses in that group was a mare that had just weaned her baby, and she was in a bad mood. And it was my horse, that horse, and a gelding. So that created a dynamic, in my opinion, looking back, that 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 mare was kind of wanted my mare to get away from that gelding because she was in the mood, and so we don't know which one kicked. I assumed that the other mare kicked her and hit her right in the stifle and broke her patella, and she was never rideable again after that.
Oh,
Well,
that's
at least
horrible.
that was the consensus, is that she wouldn't be rideable.
I'm so sorry.
It
Wow.
it made my relationship with I used to take her hiking. In order to rehab her, I would take her hiking on these trails in Gold Canyon, Arizona, and and it really developed my relationship with her in a different way than I think I ever would have if I had gotten on her and started riding her. And she was hilarious. I mean, she was she was a character. And so I can't know because that's not the way our relationship worked. It what it would have been if our relationship would have been the same if I had been riding her. Um, that it was when I, you know, doing rehab and just yeah, getting to know her in the only way I could. But yeah, she was boarded, and then we ended up getting horse property, so she moved to my property. That was all in Arizona.
Beautiful. Oh, nice. And you hung on to her. She was just your best friend.
I did end up having to, due to circumstances, I did end up having to, I gave her to a friend who did breed her, and so that's where I did have to move. Yeah, that was a heartbreaking. Anybody who gets a horse or any kind of animal creates any kind of bond, and then you get into a situation that is just beyond your control. It is a
Been there.
heartbreaking moment.
Absolutely. It
Mhm.
it was that situation was something that brought me to a very dark place afterwards that I wasn't sure I would climb out of. I did, fortunately. It was when I just surrendered and trusted that, it would all work out, but it haunted me every day for months and still does. I still have my moments where I really choke up about all of it. But you're right. There's sometimes circumstances change and you have to do what's for the best of your horses, and it's hard. It's never easy, especially when you're so bonded with an animal, you know. I'm sorry. Yeah, I get it, honey. I do.
I know you
Oh,
do.
yeah. Pardon me, I have to put the old reading glasses on. I cannot see. Oh my goodness. So are you actively now um doing retreats on your property? Do you have any plan? What are you doing for your work in coaching? What are you offering? What are your offerings?
Well, in my private practice, so Crooked Tree Journeys, I see one-on-one clients. I have plans to do um, group sessions and retreats with my private practice. But I have also been offered the opportunity to open a chapter of Hope Held by a Horse, which is a organization, a nonprofit organization in Colorado, and we serve a population that are people with cancer diagnosis, no matter where they are in their treatment, whether they're in remission or in the middle of treatment. And so I did that in January. I opened the Texas chapter, and so it's been a lot of you know, it's a lot of the business, marketing, networking, getting it all off of the ground, basically. And so we will have our first retreat in October 19th and 20th will be our first retreat, and it's a 2-day retreat. Well, it's actually a 1.5-day retreat.
October 19th and 20th. All right. So folks, if you're listening or watching and you know of anyone that might be interested in any of the offerings, retreats, one-on-one, in person, you do Zoom, I suppose, and phone and all of that
In my private practice,
in
yes.
your private practice. Yeah.
Yes, it can do a one-on-one session can be here at my place or on Zoom or on a phone call. So you do not have to live in the area in order to receive the benefits of these services. And that was what I was going to say about the Hope Held by a Horse, that retreat. You do not have to live in this area. Texas is humongous. And so you don't have to live right here. And like I said, I have a guest house with, place to sleep and that kind of thing. So you definitely
Wonderful.
don't have to live in the area to receive these services.
Beautiful. Well, we will be putting all this information in the description box, all your contact information for both your private practice and Hope held through horses.
Hope
Hope
held
held
by
by
a horse. Mhm.
okay, hope held by a horse. There's other variations of that
I
out there,
know,
so
I
I get
know.
like, which one are we?
I know.
That's beautiful. I love it. I know when I still have a private cleaning business, but when I was multi-franchised and all that, we did cleaning for a reason, and that was for people undergoing cancer treatment. And so they got their cleaning services either free or half price, depending on where they were at,
That's beautiful.
in their treatments. It's just giving back,
Yeah,
helping people. And that's one of the things, when you're going through treatment, support is everything in many different modalities of support, whether somebody's baking you a casserole or cleaning your home or offering, you know, gestalt therapy, gestalt healing work. That kind of support is so, so, so needed. A place to
yes,
vent, a place to have ears actually listen, really listen with compassion, for what someone's going through. It's a tough road, but it's made easier by people who are willing to, like you, offer services to help.
absolutely.
So with your 5 animals on your property, your 5 animals meaning your mini donkeys and your 2 horses, did you, I know the gelding, you did not specifically pick him for this work. He just stepped up to it and said, pick me, pick me. What about the other ones? Did you pick them specifically, or they just kind of fell into the role of this is what we do?
Well, I had I don't know, got all my horses. I don't know how you say that. But, all my horses came to me before I joined this program. They were all trail horses. But about 4 years ago, I had an injury that injured my neck. And so I haven't been able to ride. So that was one of the driving forces for me finding something I could do with them outside of this. I did some trick training and some horsemanship and stuff like that. So it was one of the many impetuses for me to find this work.
Mhm.
But the horse that I kind of built my program around, unfortunately passed away last year. And um, so I don't know. I don't know what you believe in. I don't know what people watching this are going to believe in, but I kind of believe like he passed the torch to my other guy. And it really felt like that way the first time he showed up. It was um like he had embodied the other one. It was really fascinating. It wasn't embodied because that takes away from him being him.
Mm.
But it was like he passed the torch. So
Sure.
he's doing his leg of the race.
Sure. Oh, I believe it 100%. It's like my dog Dami that, after I lost my two old rescues, Lucky and Sammy, 1 month later, a new rescue showed up in my life. I wasn't searching. She just showed up. And unbeknownst to me, when she did, I didn't realize that I was going to go through some of my darkest days and that she would be my constant friend and companion. And
Yeah.
there were many times I looked at her and I was like, did God send you to me? Did Lucky and Sammy send you to me? I think they did. They
Mm.
knew I would need you. And she's just one of my best friends, other than my horse, my gelding Dakota, who is just another one who embodies this work. Like it is his calling. And he and I, when I met him back in 2016, I went to look at him because there was something about his photograph that I needed to go meet him. And I did. And I remember telling my partner at the time, I'm not going to buy another horse. We already have three. I have to go meet him though. And I met him and I couldn't honestly leave without him. And I knew him. And this will sound crazy too to some people, but I don't care. We have shared lives together in the past. We actually, I know this, like it sounds crazy, but we went into battle together and he protected me. He is that horse. If I go out, the minute he sees me, there's a nicker and he stops what he's doing. If he's out in the pasture and he's got to come to the fence and hi, mama. And if I go out there and I sit down, he will lay down and nap
Mm.
next to, he's that horse.
I love
He's
that.
that we are like so connected. He's funny. He's got quite a sense of humor that, and he's a practical joker. Everywhere he's ever been, his nickname is Houdini, but it's unanimous. Oh yeah, that people have you have to the facility owners have to put locks on things because he's got the most amazing lips that can literally pick bolts and oh yeah, it's and I'm like, and if he can't do that, he will jump the fence. You have been warned, but he won't go anywhere, but he thinks it's fun and he likes to play pranks on everyone.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Always amazing. He really, really is. Oh my gosh. Do you have any advice for anyone who is thinking about getting into this work, Leah, now that you've done it? I mean, you kind of knew, I mean, seriously, in your 20s, you had already been exposed to Gestalt work. I didn't even know what Gestalt was.
It blew my mind, to be honest. My biggest advice to anybody who's interested in this is to get a session or several sessions. So find a practitioner who does this. You can do that by going to touched by a horse. We've got all these. Touched by a horse has a list of practitioners and sometimes in your area or somebody like me who does and you who do Zoom sessions, you can find somebody who does this work in a location near you or via Zoom. So get some sessions. Know what it is that you're that what this is. It's very hard to explain because it's so experiential that no two sessions are alike.
Mm.
So that um, uh, Another thing to do would be to volunteer for a equine gestaltist and be a horse handler. Again, you get a feel for how this work goes, how deep or what kinds of clients that you'll see. And that I think that that's good in any career field is to experience it. And then if it's still what you're after, contact Melissa at Touch by Horse.
Yeah, we'll put all the information in the description box for sure. Tell them Leah and Kimber sent
It
you.
it is an amazing experience. You do a lot of your own work. I mean, you won't do all of your own, you know, you won't do all of your work. It's layers.
Mm,
But you'll do some deep work and and find yourself in a way that you hadn't been experiencing. So
yes.
it's good
And
stuff.
I'm sorry.
It's good stuff.
It is good. It's absolutely good, great stuff. And Melissa is what, a licensed psychologist?
Yes.
And how many other psychologists and therapists have gone through this program? We have grads and students from literally around the globe. And what I remember, what stood out for me that Melissa said was, as a licensed psychologist, obtaining her license, obtaining her degree in psychotherapy, psycho and whatever, that it is not a requirement nor a prerequisite to do your own personal work. However, our certification doesn't happen unless we do.
Right.
And it's such a safe place to do it. Even when you walk in to your first core, initially you're like a deer in headlights, and instantly you feel this connection, you feel the safety, you feel like it is safe for you, for what I call the inner child to emerge and be seen and heard and have a voice. For some of us, for me it was the first time ever. It was the first safe
Mm.
place I could rage. It was okay to rage about things that happened to me in my childhood that I had to strategize and stuff down and not react to. I wasn't allowed to react to it. I just had to survive it. So having that support, ultimately, when we graduate and we venture out doing our own work, facilitating this work with other people, we really have true empathy.
Absolutely.
Truly, truly. It is a very impactful program. And we no, we're not sponsored by Touched by a Horse, just so y'all know. We just sing its praises because of how impactful this work is.
Yeah, I
There
definitely
is
I
there
agree.
anything, Leah, that you want to add and share with our audience about what you're doing? What's your niche? Do you have one? Do you have multiple niches?
Well, obviously, with the nonprofit, I have a different niche with that. My niche with my own personal business is
Hmm.
I am the wife of a career firefighter,
Oof.
and so my niche is spouses and partners of first responders, firefighters, police officers, veterans. Specifically, I am also a veteran. I served in the Air Force for 4 years. Um, uh,
Wow, girl, I'm sorry. Did I just say that really loud? I did not know that. Wow, I love it.
so that I understand. I've said on a cellular level, what goes into a life with a partner who is a civil servant, um, and who's when everybody else is leaving the building, they're going in, and the kind of fortitude you have to support somebody who chooses a life like that. So that is my niche, is spouses and partners of of first responders, firefighters, police officers, and veterans.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, having to stay back and know that, your partner, your spouse is, you truly, that you may never see them again. They're putting themselves in harm's way. They're heroes constantly, just walking out the door. They walk out the door a hero, and you don't know if you're going to be a widow, truly.
Yep.
So, I thank you because you're providing a place for people to get the support they need to exist and keep a healthy relationship with a spouse that puts their life on the line time and time and time again. Wow. The Air Force. Why did you choose the Air Force? I'm just curious. I'm always curious about those things. I'm a
I
nosy girl.
I used to joke, and it is a joke. So I I used to joke that I picked it because they wear blue. Um, but when you're in the military, everybody wears green. So so that was just the funny thing. I had gone to college to become a physical therapist, and I was in 2 years before they accept you into the program, and I didn't get accepted into the program. Now I don't know if you had it to do over what I would do. I, I think I would be encouraged to apply again. But instead, I didn't know what else I wanted to be besides a physical therapist. So I joined the Air Force. I didn't know what else I wanted to do, and so I wanted the time and space to think. While also, making a living and serving my country. And my dad had been in the military, so it wasn't that much of a stretch.
Mhm.
And I was actually born in Germany when my dad was stationed over there. And so it, it, it was, it wasn't that much of a, I said that, but it wasn't that much of a stretch. So I spent 4 years in the Air Force, and I loved
Any
it.
regrets? Any regrets? You loved it?
Oh, I loved it. I loved having purpose. I loved the discipline factor. I don't have a lot of natural discipline. Um, uh, so it was nice to have that framework to learn and grow, and as a young person. So it was a great place to grow up. Um, I know a lot of people wouldn't say that now with serving tours in Iraq, which is quite dramatic. I was stationed in Germany, and so it was I mean, that threat was always there. Obviously, that's what you're there for. You are ready to go. All military members are. But it's a family. That was something that I really liked about it, and I liked the discipline, and I liked my job. I loved living in Europe. So yeah, it was an overall positive experience. I'm not going to say there wasn't, bad moments, because I was also a kid. You do
Sure.
dumb.
Oh, we'll keep those secrets. Well, my parents met in the Air Force.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yep. In Lackland, Texas.
Yeah, that's just hour or so south of me. That's
Yeah.
where you do your basic training there,
Right.
enlisted person. Yeah.
Well, I don't think they got through basic before they met and fell in love, and that was it.
It
So,
happens a lot. You're away from home, and you're grabbing any what is it?
right.
Grabbing any port in the storm or whatever it is.
But the
Um, uh,
military, it was good. It was good for them. It put them through school. My father became a registered nurse. They always stayed in some form of the reserve, whether it was Army National Guard, the Army Reserve. They stayed until they retired. They were still reservists in the military while they did other things, while we had that big riding stable that we had when I was a child. And my dad going to school. He was a barber. My mother was a barber. They always did these things
Wow.
together. It was crazy. My mom didn't ride though. She never got it. I never ever witnessed her on a horse, but she supported my dad and us kids in the horse world. Poor thing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm still reading, honey. I'm reading my own questions. What a great host I am.
That's fine.
Oh my gosh. So in regard to your facility, is it a ranch? Is it a farm? What is it? You've got this retreat home.
Well, I live in Texas, so ranches out here are 100,000 acres.
Okay. So
So
you're a
we have a
backyard horse enthusiast.
we have a prop exactly. We have a property. We do have 22 acres.
Oh,
I know, I know. But that's tiny. That's
not
tiny.
in Connecticut, it isn't. That's a
I know.
ranch in Connecticut.
Uh, the yeah, so we have our property. Interestingly, back to my husband's influence, this is I'm sitting in the house he grew up in. So he's lived here since he's 7 years old, and now we live here. And I know.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And so I know I've never met anybody like that. I've had 34 addresses in my lifetime.
Yeah,
So
same.
kid, yeah, all the way up to an adult. And so I met this man who's had two.
Oh my God. Was that the attraction? Like, wow.
I do
Roots.
believe it was some of it. So he's a really stable guy. He's, good looking dude. And he loves horses, and he went to A&M University, and he was in the CAV. So that's where he learned all about horses. And the CAV is the group of people that take the cannon into the A&M games and blast off the cannon. So he doesn't hear so great.
Oh my. Well, that can be okay, sort of, like when you're like, oh my gosh.
But that's where his love of horses came from, his experience there. It was the Wild West, those guys. The stories I hear, I'm just like, well, where were the adults?
He's a
But
bit of a daredevil, is he?
um,
I mean, come on, he's a firefighter, a career firefighter.
he doesn't view danger like most people do.
Mhm.
He's very no, I wouldn't even say calculated. He just knows risk. He understands risk. And so he takes a lot of calculated risk. He was also in the Army Reserve. He served 2 tours in Iraq. He was a 9/11 first responder.
Oh,
He's
wow.
just, yeah, he goes in when everyone else is coming out. And that's the kind of guy he is. But he's also, and I wouldn't even call it humble. It, he just, that his own resume does not impress him. It doesn't. And
It impresses me.
it does me too. But that's just not who he is. He's just on to the next thing. He's a very gestalt dude. He's living in the moment.
Um,
Yeah, he's a very gestalt dude. He doesn't think about the future. He doesn't think about the past. He thinks about what he's doing right now. And so if you want to know, I would assume that somehow my subconscious, that's what was most attractive about him, is his living in the moment.
that being said, how long have you been attracted to your husband?
10 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Where'd you meet?
Um,
I'm getting
on
personal now.
on online, in the 2000s, you could still meet online and meet, quality people that were interested in
Not anymore.
relationships.
Not anymore.
I know I have a lot of friends who, were just in that bubble of time where that was what was happening. I don't know. I'm sure it still does, but I've heard it's a little bit different intention now. And but so I did meet him, and it was that the first couple of times we talked on the phone, I already knew. And then when I met him in person, it's like somebody I'd known my whole life. So
That's beautiful.
mhm.
Wow.
And he has a beautiful daughter, and so I got 2 for 1 in my marriage, and she is we went through all the high school years and all the college years, and now she's in so she's her dad's baby. She is an emergency room nurse in Dallas.
Of
So
course. I mean, come on, chip off the
yeah,
old block, right?
exactly. Exactly. She's wonderful.
Beautiful life, Leah.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing so much with all of us. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you. And if there's anything you want to add, please do so.
Um, well, I just want to, in the spirit of Gestalt, that life is happening now. And so if you're on the fence about whether you want to let go of past traumas or finish unfinished business or make a decision in your life, get off the fence, find a find somebody who's doing this work and move forward in your life, where whatever direction that is. And so there's that. And then you already said, if you have a family member, a friend, a coworker, a barista in your life that is struggling with cancer, we there are 4 locations now of the Hope Held by a Horse, and so that's a a beautiful thing, a beautiful resource for people who are in the pain of that diagnosis. So both of those things I think are my parting words.
Thank you for that. And we
Mhm.
will, as I said, all the information that Leah has spoken of during this interview I shouldn't say will be, it is in the description box. So, with the 4 locations as well as your location and contact information and your website address so that people can get a hold of you. And we also will put the link to Touched by a Horse and the directory to find a gestaltist in a town near you or a state near you. For sure. I think, Leah, the work that we do um, is needed in a big way in this world. And most of us aren't experiencing living. Like we're not feeling it. We're just kind of, you know, moving through life like almost zombie-ish. I know for me, I never experienced the feeling of happiness until I did my work. And then I found happiness in some of the most maybe what others would see as simple things like sitting under a tree and watching the leaves move and feeling the breeze in my hair and on my body. They weren't things I never was in touch with those things, and I am now. And that never would have happened without this work. So I know that we all share in that as gestaltists in wanting everyone to experience what it is to really be living in the present moment. So I thank you for your work. I thank you for being a beautiful herd mate. I am so blessed to know you. And thank you
I,
for
I
being.
I feel the absolute same, Kimber. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care and thanks for being on the Backyard Horse Enthusiast.
Thank you.